Welcome back to This Is Why We Watch Movies. I'm Brian.
And I'm Landon.
And we're coming to you differently today because, well, I moved and it's been a summer without TIWWWM. There was an episode that was recorded in like April that got uploaded recently, and there is a lost episode that I suppose I'll need to upload at some point.
Sure, yeah.
Where we talked about Thunderbolts, and that was our last in-person episode. And what's crazy about it, as you may recall, is we didn't realize that was going to be our last in-person episode at the time.
Correct. Things happened.
This thing called life happened, yes.
Yeah.
But, we love doing the show. We enjoy the community of like 5 people that actually talk to us about it afterwards. And so we wanted to find a way to keep the magic happening. So anyways, here we are.
Absolutely.
What have you been up to this summer?
Working. Working at the movie theater, so, not much else, really. You probably had some more exciting things going on.
No, I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and sleeping on a futon, so...
That's respectable.
And I've only had the futon for one day. I don't know why I said that. I'm just very proud of my futon. I'm on it right now.
That's fair, yeah. I'm on the same bed that I've been on,
Got to keep the grind going. Anyways, not to bore you with our personal lives, listeners, but we do have quite a bit to cover today. There were a couple of movies that came out that we just were not able to cover, but we were going to come on last week and talk about something, and then it got delayed. Now we're talking about 2 things. But to start with, I was going to say let's do Jurassic World Rebirth. So this is the 7th film in the Jurassic World series, and it came out a couple of weeks ago. And do you have the plot synopsis handy?
I actually don't. I'm rusty.
What?
It has been too long. I kind of forgot that was my job. Hold on.
I gave you one job.
Listen, let's relax. I kind of forgot. This is, again, a little rusty.
New format, new problems.
100%.
It's probably going to be something like, after finding out the possibility for a cure to congenital heart diseases, 6 pirates travel to Jurassic Park to extract dinosaur blood.
Not far off. 5 years post Jurassic World Dominion, an expedition braves isolated equatorial regions to extract DNA from 3 massive prehistoric creatures for a groundbreaking medical breakthrough.
Okay, so I was pretty close.
Yeah, you got the basic idea of what it was.
Yeah, so the first thing we need to talk about, I think, before we even get into pros and cons, like we're rusty, we don't even know what we talk about.
Yeah.
Was this movie necessary? Can I just open with that?
No,
I don't think any of the Jurassic World movies are necessary. I don't even think that Jurassic Parks 2 and 3 are necessary.
Yeah.
And so when they announced a Jurassic World 4 or Jurassic Park 7, I was like, what is happening? What does this world come to? Especially after Jurassic World Dominion is marketed as the final chapter in the saga.
Yeah, I think that I was intrigued by it solely based on Gareth Edwards being involved.
Right, and I think that that's the poise that we went into it as both fans of the original, but also film junkies. It's like, oh, Gareth Edwards, he's got a pretty good decent track record of films.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did an episode on The Creator, did we not? Or was that before?
That was before the show.
So that was just us offline talking that much about it. Okay.
We argued about it in our living room, yeah.
I don't think arguing. I think we were both kind of in agreement on that as a whole. I feel like.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of a different movie from 2023. Anyway.
We don't talk about that one.
Yeah. Well, anyways, what's your first pro?
I think Jonathan Bailey. I think
that was mine too.
Yeah, because to me it's like when you're making a Jurassic movie, you have to live up to Spielberg. And that is not an easy feat. And the closest they got to what I would say to me felt like a Spielberg character was Dr. Loomis. And
that his name was Loomis?
His name was Loomis.
I don't remember any character names. I should specify that. It went in one ear and out the other.
That's the only one I remember, to be fair.
Yeah. I remember someone had the same name as the guy from Halloween, so I guess that was him.
Yes, Loomis. Yeah.
But anyways, I completely agree. He's the only person that like is bewildered and feels out of place, like a fish out of water in the story. And
Hmm.
he's really the only person that's surprised or shocked by the dinosaurs in the first place. So I think like he fits the mold of what I would want out of these characters. And then when they like name drop that he studied under Dr. Grant in a previous
Yeah.
uh, project, it was like, oh, okay, why can't we just have Dr. Grant? But I get it because Jonathan Bailey.
Correct. He's
Yeah.
great. I mean, again, he does exactly what he needs to do. And I don't feel like the rest of the cast blended nearly as well as I would have liked. There's a couple people who I think were
No.
okay, but a couple of them I was like, "What are you doing here?"
One of my favorite moments, of course, was when at the beginning when he's like, "I'll have to think about going," and he puts in the mint, and he just sits there and he chews the mint, and
Yeah,
that is a recurring thing in the film is that he'll just like start chomping on a mint, and I felt kind of attacked, but the people I was with looked over at me because, as you may recall, I do that. I chew mints. I don't just like let them dissolve. So
that's true.
I connected with this character on a deeper level.
Fair, fair. Okay, so
Um,
that was your first pro as well.
yes, it was.
Okay, would you want to go ahead and give your?
Um, my what would have been my second pro.
Yeah,
I think the hybrid dinosaurs are really awesome. They're some really cool designs. They combine like different aspects of previous species that we've seen. One of the magical parts of the other six movies, but really one through five, is that some of the dinosaurs are the same ones through the whole thing. Um, like I think it's Stegosaurus, or the one with the long neck. I always forget. Brachiosaurus, perhaps. Did we lose Landon?
no, I'm still here. Can you see me? Hello.
It probably abruptly cut because I hit stop, but he is back. Again, technical difficulties of our first remote episode.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that the hybrid dinosaurs allowed us to keep the magic of the discovery or the new thing, and not in the way that like Indominus Rex was like scary, but in, like we had those wonderful moments again. I think back to the scene of Jonathan Bailey in like the pasture of dinosaurs when he's getting the blood sample, and like that's the only moment in the whole movie that felt like Jurassic Park to me. Like I felt the
Sure.
magic and the wonder, and it could just been the score. Like it was fantastic, but I liked that scene. And again, I think I was cut off in the middle of what the hybrid dinosaurs are different than. Basically, the dinosaurs that die on the island in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom are the same dinosaurs from Jurassic Park 1 in some cases. And so I felt like those were my friends that went through several films. And so, just in the same way that this movie has a fresh cast, it was interesting to see a fresh cast of dinosaurs.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
I I mean, for me, it's like I still think a T Rex is cool. You know, like
sure.
I don't really hate or love the hybrid dinosaurs of it all. Like for me, that's never even really what it's all been about. But you know, anyway.
Technically, all
So
the dinosaurs are hybrids.
true. That is, yeah, that's true. Okay, somebody's shooting fireworks up outside my house. Interesting.
They're shooting
Okay,
fireworks off outside my house.
that's so strange. All right.
Do we
Anyway,
live together?
not anymore. Um, but anyway, I don't know. I don't know why I just got really distracted all of a sudden. Anyway, okay, so my next pro, I guess, um, is okay. That's really distracting. All right, let me lock back in. All right.
We normally
Uh,
do this in a distraction-free environment, and today
we
we're just like, nope,
do.
we're gonna
Yeah,
do
I
it in the real
know.
world.
I don't like it. Yeah.
Look at
Um,
us now.
I really appreciated the streamlined plot. Like there was a very clear, like, this is our goal. We have an objective. This is what we're going to move towards. Um, for me, it's like, okay, we're going to get these three samples and then we're going to come back. Um, and I think that some of the Jurassic films have gotten a little convoluted. Um, and I do think that taking a more simple approach to the overall plot structure was helpful for this one. I guess I should say this. I didn't love the film, but I think it is the best film since Jurassic Park.
I struggle with that. I do.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
But I mean, I do think it has the least like convoluted plot since Jurassic Park.
Hmm. Well, it's
But
definitely that.
I I felt that the plot was a bit too. I didn't like how straightforward it was. One of
Mm.
my big complaints, and this, I don't have anything else positive to say about this movie, by the way. So
Okay.
if you're good to shift into cons, can we do that?
We can just discuss whatever because I mean, yeah.
Excellent. I personally don't like that it's so disconnected from the other films. Outside of name dropping Alan Grant and the fact that Jurassic World was a functioning park for several years, it has nothing to do with the main plot of everything else. Um, and so it largely is like the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, and that this is a movie that feels like it's a side story set in this bigger world, but has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on. And I don't know if I particularly vibe with like a world building Jurassic Park movie.
I I would say that I would agree if I liked the Jurassic World movies even a little bit.
Yeah,
But to me, it was like this is kind of a breath of fresh air in the sense that like they needed to go in a different direction. It had become stale and it had become just almost unwatchable. Um,
yeah,
so to me, it's like I understand what you're saying and I get it, but for me, it was like that was part of the thing that I enjoyed about it, and I wouldn't even say that it was like again, it's not like an overly positive review that I'm giving for this movie, but that
yeah,
is one of the things that I'm like, okay, cool, great. Anyway,
yeah. And I can see that. So
yeah,
pop
okay,
off.
yeah. So that was your first con.
Yes.
Okay. Um, for me, the my a big the probably the biggest con of the movie is again you're following in the footsteps of Spielberg, who is whose Jurassic Park film is full of suspense, and also there's a really strong sense of like sentimentality that is just nobody does that like him again. And for me, it's like the family that they find that boat capsizes um, is the closest thing we got. And I think that there were some really strong character moments there, but they treat the audience like idiots, and they have to literally say out loud, like, okay, I'm turning a leaf on this guy." And it's like, but we saw that 2 scenes ago. Like we saw that this was happening. I don't need
Right.
you to like show me, don't tell me. And this film feels the need at every turn to be like, I don't know if you caught that little glance between the two of them, but and it's like, yeah, we did. Like you're stepping on your own foot
Yeah.
at that
That
point.
man, maybe that's something that I'm not articulating well in the notes that I did have, because I would say that you're right in that the family has some really excellent moments, but I felt largely that they were shoehorn in,
Oh,
because
for sure, for
how it
sure.
how it read to me was like the studio mandated one thing and Gareth Edwards or was like, we got to go with the other. And so I don't know how what side was from who, but someone inserted the family into that script, because largely I think if you took the subplot of the family out, you get a much more streamlined story, and it actually is basically the same. Um,
No, I agree. I agree with that.
yeah.
But
So
what I'm saying is, I think that that should have been more fleshed out than this other
yes,
half of the film, where where the emotional core of that is literally like just word vomited to you in a 3 minute scene between
yeah,
Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali that holds no emotional weight and never really
right.
comes back for me.
Something that I thought would really help the family subplot as well. Um, and maybe this steers too close to Jurassic Park 3, but I thought it would have been more interesting if when they go to catch or like draw the blood from Mosasaurus, which Mosey is my favorite, Mosey's my man, but
Hmm.
that causes their shipwreck, and then when they shipwreck onto the island, they find the family living there already, and it's kind of like a Swiss Family Robinson situation where these people have been like on the island for a month or two already, and they kind of know their way around. And so then you have this. It would be like a almost reversal where the people with the big guns and the shiny weapons are not the experts on the island, and they start getting picked off. But this family's like, we know what to do, and so
Hmm.
I don't know. I think that would make them more central to the plot, and really, again, basically the same story. Like it's not too far off. It's just when the
Yeah.
shipwreck happens.
No,
Yeah,
and like I said, I agree with everything as far as like to me the family story was more interesting for me because I felt more emotionally connected to them. But it also was like there was just like one chunk of the movie that was theirs,
yeah,
and and then it just kind of like it's not anymore. Um, and yeah, for me, it's like I would have. Yeah, I agree. I think that if you kept them all together and you were able to see the family more, I think that this film would be stronger in general. I mean, I think there's
Jurassic Park
also
is
some.
about family.
It is. No, it is. Um, and yeah, and I think they were close. I think they were knocking on the door of something that they just never seemed to figure out. I do think there's a couple of pretty decent sequences, but overall, the action to me was kind of just. It was just kind of lacking. Um, I do think the Mosasaurus stuff was really cool. Like that was a cool sequence on the boat. Um,
For sure.
but I don't think it ever lived up to that again, in my opinion.
No, I had a cup in 2015. I got it the Carmichael, but it was like share a Coke with Mosasaurus, and I kept that for the longest time.
That's so you.
Which that leads me into my next con.
Okay.
This has been a big problem, especially starting with Jurassic World 1, which is set in a theme park. My god, this movie has some of the most blatant product placement I've ever seen.
Mm,
Um, like it's egregiously worse than most things, like whether it's the M&Ms, the Snickers, the Twizzlers. Like Mars
mm,
Candy funded this movie. Um,
right.
Altoids, and then also you have the Cokes, and there were like Cheerios and a few other things. And like I don't mind product placement because generally that makes the world feel closer to what it really is, but it just was like ungodly, like obvious in this one.
Fair. You know, that didn't bother me because, again, I think I just kind of turned my brain off to all that at certain points because it's like after the second or third time, I'm like, all right, whatever, it's going to be there. But you know what did really like irk me the whole movie as I was like, I don't buy for a single second that dinosaurs are still roaming the earth and people have just lost interest.
No, dinosaurs are like the coolest thing in the world, or
Yeah,
were.
it's like we have zoos now where these are animals that exist in our world. Like they're here, like, and and those things are still like people still want to see those. You're telling me that dinosaurs can be around, people are just going to be like, ah, we don't care. It's like,
I've
no, I don't buy it.
I've said this for years. Every man loves two things: dinosaurs and trains.
Hmm.
And that's why the greatest television show of our time is Dinosaur Train.
All right, fair enough, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't love
it's
trains all
perfect.
that much, but dinosaurs are
You're
cool.
literally named after a train. What are you talking about?
No, 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 no. No, that's not true. I'm not named after a train. I just happen to have the same name as a train. The middle name is a train.
Correct.
But
I don't have a. Actually, I do. James is a train too. Hmm. Anyway, um, but yeah,
weird side
it's just
tangent of the
like
day. All right.
we both have middle names from Thomas the Tank Engine characters. That's crazy.
It is kind
Um,
of wild.
yeah, it's not hard though. There's like 15 trains in that show, but
Yeah.
there's more than that. There's just 15 main trains. Anyways, let's not talk about that. Um, basically, dinosaurs are cool. That's the only reason we keep getting these Jurassic World movies. And I think what really summarized it is I walked out of the movie theater and I saw our former colleague Elliot. Um,
My
if he
cousin.
sees this,
Yeah.
he's going to be so upset. I just mentioned his name, but I
Yeah.
saw him and he asked me how it was, and I said I've not been this disappointed by a Jurassic World movie since the last time I watched a Jurassic World movie.
Real.
Yeah. Um, so I don't know. I thought that was pretty good. And then I was like, maybe I didn't cook with that, but at the time I was like, yeah,
You're like, this is deep.
yeah. But no, like I have a list of more grievances. I think like the guy with the was it Luke something that plays the villain? I don't ever
Oh,
remember his name.
yeah, no, Rupert Friend. Yeah.
Rupert Friend. I always think it's like Luke Evans or something.
They have a similar face. I
They
understand why
do,
you're saying that. Yeah.
and I always think that Rupert Friend is Orlando Bloom.
They also look the same.
They do. So, anyways, but it's not. I think that he is way too obvious as a villain. He
Yeah.
has evil tendencies early on in the film, and
Yeah.
I left it. And my cousin, who we went to see this for his 15th birthday, he leaves and he just goes, he just wanted to help people. And he basically gives a spiel that this guy is because he wanted to make medicine, therefore we shouldn't consider him a bad guy.
No,
And
he
so
will. Oh no. Oh God.
my other
We're
cousin and I
we're
have
so
been making fun
cooked.
of him.
We're so
Yeah,
cooked. It's like, oh, he's literally buying it so that they can make it and sell it for an absurd amount of money. That
right.
was
Like he
literally.
doesn't
That was
care about anyone.
literally. That was literally
The
the
kid
point of the film.
claims the kid claims that he didn't push the person out of the boat on purpose. And I'm like, did we watch the same movie?
Yeah, this is crazy.
So, um, but no, overall, I think it's probably, for me at least, the weakest of Gareth Edwards movies that I have seen. The only one I've not seen is Monster, which not Jurassic World. That's what we're talking about. Godzilla is an interesting one because I've like watched it, but it was on in
Hmm.
the background, so it's not like I was honed in on it.
Yeah,
But
I
I
enjoy. I
think,
enjoy his Godzilla film. I think it's. I think people are upset by it because there's not much Godzilla, but I do think it is interesting. At least, like it's better than most of the sequels that followed it.
yeah, like Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire.
Never watched it. Can't say that I. But yeah, I mean, I have plenty of thoughts on the film, but those are like the ones I think matter, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah,
your weak characters, with the exception of a few, like a very small few. Um, it lacks the necessary suspense that I think uh, a Jurassic film should have.
yes,
It fails at being having any kind of emotional connection, and even its streamlined plot loses its way because they shoehorned in uh, an extra subplot that they didn't seem to want to pay off in a even halfway decent way.
yeah. No, that's a good summary of the film. Um, I don't know. I definitely hyperbolically say that I was pretty disappointed by it. I think for me, I'm going to acknowledge in this conversation that Jurassic World 1 is not a great movie.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, I think it would go Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, and then like most of the other ones. Um, and this one, I would say, was only marginally better than Dominion for me.
Mm.
I'm not bothering ranking the rest of them because I don't have a rank yet. But basically, I know I liked it more than Dominion, but that's like not saying anything.
No, Dominion's terrible.
Yeah, it's legitimately one of the worst blockbuster films I've ever been to see. So you know, I had very low expectations for this one going in, even though I was mildly hopeful. And I think just overall it didn't land for me.
Yeah.
If you were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, where would you land?
Mm, I think I'm a 2.5. Like, it's two and a
Yeah.
half bordering on three. Like, it's closer to a three than a two, for me.
So mine would be 2, and so that would mean the official podcast rating is 2.25.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So I think if you're like a massive fan of Jurassic Park or Jurassic World as a series, it's definitely worth checking out. If you just like dinosaurs, this is worth checking out. And if you want to see Mahershala Ali in his first on-screen performance in, what was it,
I,
5 years, 6 years?
I don't even know. We didn't even bring him up in the review, which is crazy. But again, his character doesn't necessarily warrant being brought up. Like,
No, like I feel bad
because,
about that now that I'm thinking about it.
I'm going to say this because the one moment in the film that I go, okay, they've made an interesting choice. They immediately backtracked on it. Like I was like,
Um, if we go into spoilers, is this when he runs off with the flare?
yeah. I was like, okay. It's like you didn't. I don't feel like it would have been a payoff that felt earned. But I
No.
can at least go, okay, you at least tried.
So what I'll say is that I'm confused as to how the dinosaurs did not come back for him after he shot off the emergency flare. And secondly, I thought it would have been so much more interesting. Hear me out, hear me out. If they turned back around to go to the emergency flare, but the dinosaurs have figured out how to shoot them off. Now that's a plot twist.
Mm, yeah,
Like, there's just a raptor that's bipedal, and it's like,
yeah. I don't know about that. I'm more just
The
like,
next movie, we could get raptors with machine guns. Like, let's go crazy.
I feel like that's where Jurassic World would have headed at some point. But
Yes, it was going to, because they were
yeah,
trying to sell them off as weapons. But anyway,
yeah,
um, I don't know. It's like this is such a weird movie on paper, and it's such a
it's a
bland
weird movie
movie in
off paper.
practice. Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I don't really have anything else to talk about with it, though. It is
No,
crazy though that Mahershala did not come up.
yeah, no. I mean, I guess whatever.
Well, let's go and move on to the next one then. So I'm
Yeah,
much more excited to talk about this, as you can see the fit.
yeah.
So
Wait,
Superman finally came out.
yeah. You go ahead and talk for just a second. I need to grab my charger because my phone. This is draining my battery. Hold on.
Well, Landon's going away. I'm going to read you the synopsis for Superman because I'm going to suspect he doesn't have it.
I
Um,
do. I do. I just don't.
no, you
I'm
don't.
just got to plug in my thing real quick. But anyway,
Well, I'm reading it. I'm reading it for you.
okay.
Superman must reconcile his alien Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as reporter Clark Kent, as the embodiment of truth, justice, and the human um, way. He soon finds himself in a world that views these as old-fashioned. So even in the logline, I find this quite interesting. That it's truth, justice, and the human way. As you know, historically, it was truth, justice, and the American way. I think that without getting into politics, there are certain people in the government that are not happy with the change that we see here to
Nope.
human way. But
Yep.
about 3 years ago, DC actually changed it, and it's been truth, justice, and a better tomorrow for several years now. And
Hmm.
so I'm actually kind of shocked that they didn't just use that.
Yeah, I find it. I also am. Speaking of the outrage, and not to get into it too much, but I think it's very interesting that people's outrage was towards the fact that they refer to Superman as an immigrant in the film.
They do.
There's a much like bigger subplot that I feel like they would have latched onto, but I don't even feel like we need to get into it because there's no reason to get people angry over something they don't even know is happening. But there's a bigger subplot that I'm very surprised didn't get a lot of attention and ire of that crowd. But anyway,
I have a suspicion on what it is, and I will ask you as we get towards the spoiler section. Um,
sure.
but yeah, just to start off, what a breath of fresh air. It was good. It was nice to see like Superman be happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This is also another thing. It's like, just let's get the ranting out of the way and then we can get into the actual thing. But
yeah.
it's like,
I don't know how to
both
review
of
this movie
us,
without ranting.
yeah. All right. So both of us, I would say both of us are massive Man of Steel fans.
Yes.
But it's like, that is a one interpretation of Superman. I think some people are misunderstanding that there can be more than one, and they're not all
Yeah.
going to look the same. And they maybe seem to forget what we've gotten in the past. Um, Before that point,
Yes.
um, So yeah, no,
And
this is
I mean, I would
definitely. No, you go ahead.
I would go one further and say I'm not really even just a Man of Steel fan. I'm a massive fan of Superman in the first place. Like
Right.
all the different iterations. I have an entire short box just of Superman comics, and if I still collected comics, I'd probably have another one. I adore the character. I love the TV shows. There's a few iterations I'm not familiar with, and I will tell you right now what those are. I don't know Superman the animated series. I don't know Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, and I don't know Superboy. And I've never watched Smallville. Um, but I've seen everything else. So
Smallville.
you
Uh,
know,
Tom Welling is still my Superman, and he is probably always will be in that way. Because even more than like Christopher Reeve, I spent so much time like watching Smallville in my formative
sure.
years. Um, and
I think that like
yeah.
no matter what happens with David, like Tyler Hoechlin is going to be my preferred version at this point, just because of the shows he's on. But anyways, go back to Tom.
But also, I can move on from Tom because I think that David Cornsweet is a great Superman.
Yeah.
Um, I did have my reservations just like solely on look, like as far as like
Yes, he didn't
we
have a
talked about
youthful
this.
face. You said.
Yeah, like when we watched Twisters, I brought it up on the podcast. Well, the moment the movie started, I was like, okay, he's got it. It's all good. They, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but no, there was that concern for me for a minute. But I'm glad to say that my fears were for naught. So that was good. I do think it's interesting that you are just kind of thrown into the universe. I really liked that. I thought that was definitely a bold choice. Um, you're thrown into literally you're thrown into the middle of the rivalry, well, the one-sided rivalry between Lex Luthor and Superman.
Right.
One of them is aware that the other one is like, you know, is in a battle. But anyway, yeah, I found that interesting. Um, so yeah, no, I think this was a really fun time at the movies, and I was glad to see that.
Yeah. Just getting that out of the way. Like it was a good show. Um, but no, I will say that I had some concerns about cinematography, and perhaps this was fed into by the Snyderverse stands on threads, but it's actually the same cinematographer that did The Flash.
Hmm.
And so The Flash is not a great track record to have on your resume.
No,
Um, but I think that I didn't see much visual similarity. I the guy did well on this one. And so
I
all of my
here,
qualms with that side of it went away as it went on.
here's what I'll say. It's like the people who say this movie looks bad, I think, are incorrect. I'm also not saying that this is like outstanding cinematography either.
No.
I think there's a few moments, particularly in some of the outdoor like fight scenes, that I was like, this looks a little like TV-ish, not even CW, because I think CW it's its own level of like interesting cinematography, but it's just I don't know. Some of it didn't work, and then there were some really gorgeous shots in this film as well, um,
Yeah.
and a really cool sequence in the middle. So no, I think anybody who says that it's bad, I think it's just wrong. But whatever.
Right. Um, but no, anyways, that's all the I think that's all the ranting I have. So getting into pros, we've already said this in the rants, but David is fantastic. Um, I cannot wait to see him on screen again.
Yeah,
So
I I would say
for
that like even just adding this in, not to like completely cut you off, but um, with his David and why am I Rachel Brosnahan? I couldn't
mhm,
why I couldn't think of her name as Lois. Those two together were magic. There was a magnetism, like the interrogation scene, which we've seen before.
yes,
A Lois and Clark Superman, like a Lois and Superman interview. But just those two together, they did have what I was looking for Clark and Lois, and that was exciting because that is something from the Snyderverse that I don't think clicked as well for me. Is I bought them as a couple, but not in the same way that I have a lot of other iterations of Clark and Lois.
So like Clark and Lois is, for lack of a better words, perfect.
Yeah.
In this movie and in most iterations, it's like, he has Lana and he has a couple other people that I'm blanking on their names throughout high school or his early days.
Hmm.
Wonder Woman and the New 52. But none of them fit him like a glove in the same way that like he and Lois are just molded for each other. And when that characterization hits, it's really fun to see. And it's largely because A, they're witty and they banter, and you can tell that they appreciate each other, but it's also that they operate as foils because Lois is cynical and the
Hmm.
opposite way of Clark, and when that's all played out, it's good. So I think in Man of Steel, that relationship is a bit different because not that Clark is cynical, but Clark is not happy go lucky in
Yeah.
the Snyderverse. There's that, and then also I think that like Lois is not portrayed as she classically is in those.
Hmm.
So, but no, I think leading into out of that into an actual like prose statement is that I think the Daily Planet sequences of this film were great. We've not really seen stuff set at the Daily Planet in a film since Superman Returns. Like it comes up a little bit in BVS, but it's of such a small part of the film.
Yeah.
Um, this was like fleshed out. Having Jimmy Olsen was great. I think that his presence is sorely missed from the Snyderverse. I mean, he's technically there,
I was gonna say he's
um,
there.
but is that really Jimmy Olsen?
No,
Because like,
that
is
was his
Zack
code
Snyder?
name.
Is his code? Was it? I'm not convinced that was a code name because Zack Snyder was like, "Oh, you like Jimmy Olsen? Get
Yeah,
rid of him."
no, literally, that was literally
And
what he did.
so, like, he just like laughs at you for liking Jimmy Olsen. And so,
Hmm.
having like that kooky character, one of my friends that was watching it with me, he did not know or remember Jimmy Olsen from the classic films or anything else. And so he was like, "Is this some kind of new character?" And I'm like, "No, that's Superman's pal."
Yeah,
Yeah. So
and he's
specifically,
a and he's a player.
he is.
He's a
And it was nice
legend.
to see young Sean has grown up and come to his own.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's even, and I don't want to like completely derail again because I think that the Daily Planet stuff was great and I enjoyed it. Um, but I do want to bring it back to performances for a second because I think that there's too many in this film that like you name a person in the film, they crushed what they were going for. Obviously, Nicholas Holt, I think, since Michael Rosenbaum is like the first one I feel like has nailed Lex Luthor. Um, I every minute he was on screen, I was like, I cannot stand him. Um, then Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner,
Yes.
inspired casting. Like I know that him and James Gunn are buddies, but like you could not have cast that more perfect. Um, Isabella Merced, I think, is fine in the movie. I just don't think she's given enough to do. But why can't I find the guy's name? Let's see. Mr. Terrific. What was the guy? Why can't I think of what the guy's name is now? Oh,
I don't.
Eddie Gathegi. Eddie Gathegi. He plays
Yes.
Mr. Terrific. Is probably the standout. Every time he's on screen, he just steals the scene that he's in. Um, and I don't know. It felt surprising how much I love Mr. Terrific leaving the film.
Yeah. No, I think that was the thing with a lot of the B characters, which I mean, Green Lantern is not necessarily a B character, but like he kind of is, especially Guy Gardner. And so,
Yeah,
having these versions that are not as well known, but them just be cool and in the film is awesome. It makes me, excited. I wrote this in my conclusion statement for this, but I'll just go ahead and say it because, like, Starting the movie without it being an origin, I think, is a great choice because we get it at this point.
Yep.
But because this movie has so much going on in it, it could have felt like The Amazing Spider Man 2, where it's setting up a bunch of things left and right. There's all this stuff that's never going to pay off. But instead, it feels like a fleshed out universe now as opposed to something that will be later. And it was like a trailer for what the DCU is going to be, as opposed to, like, this entire movie is an ad for what's to come with your pal Superman. Um, as opposed to like it just being payoff for something that's never or set up for something that will never pay off. Yeah.
Sure. Um, I agree with most of that. I do think that I don't want to say bloat is not the right word because I don't feel like the film is bloated, but I do feel like the film is doing a lot.
Yes.
And you can feel that at times, and I think some things get pushed to the wayside, which we can talk about when we get to cons, that I think would have been uh, more beneficial to the film. But at the same time, I agree that like he set up a lot of really cool stuff without harping on it and feeling like it was being set up, which is really cool.
Right. Um. Yeah. I also think that the humor, like this, embraces the goofy science fiction aspect of Superman, which is I don't think that's ever really been embraced in the films. It has in the TV shows, but like when I go read Superman comics, I'm gonna harp on the plot arc I do remember, which is from Brian Michael Bendis's run. They're looking for the Invisible Mafia, and they're like, we can't find them. So it's the entire super family flying over Metropolis scanning, and then they realize that the Mafia has been meeting in lead pipes in the sewer, so that he can't see them. And so it's like all
Mm,
their dirty work is happening in these lead pipes. They get down there and they find a bunch of bodies, but like the point is the lead pipes in the sewers, and they're like, it's the Invisible Mafia. I was like, this is dumb, but it's
yeah,
so Superman, you know?
sure. Yeah, like I think it being goofy is it feels right for Superman. And in the
Right.
same way that I personally appreciated what Zack Snyder did, I also understand that his interpretation of Superman is unlike anybody else's I've ever seen. Like
Yeah.
and I don't fault it for that. Like, do I think that like it's necessarily a great adaptation of the comic book source material? No, but that doesn't change the fact that I love it. This feels more like it feels like a comic book come to life in a way that Man of Steel definitely does not.
Right.
And that's why I think that the bright cinematography works because that's what it's going for. If it would have felt out of place for it to look like a Zack Snyder film, it wouldn't have made sense.
Right. No, I 100% agree. Like, this is a James Gunn film. Let us be
Yeah,
clear.
oh, 100%. Less needle drops
Um,
than I was expecting, to be honest. But
there was really only like two. It
yeah,
was the end credits, which that was extremely surprising.
and the
Um,
Mr. Terrific 360 sequence.
right. What else do you have for pros?
Uh, I like Mom and Pa Kent. I thought they were adorable. Um,
They were.
let's see, what else do I have? I think those are like the
Well,
main pro. Go
I
ahead.
think this is the first time we've had a live action Superman where Pa Kent is still alive. And he had a really fatherly essence about him, and I thought it was nice to like see Clark interact with Jonathan like that. I would have liked more interactions with Monpa. Um,
This,
I it breaks my heart because what it means that we're probably going to see Pa Kent's death in a sequel,
oh, 100%. But
and
this is,
I'm ready to be have my heart ripped out.
yeah, but this kind of leads into what is my first con, which is to me that the Kansas sequence to me feels like it is the most important sequence in the film, and to me it feels like they left a lot out. Like it feels like there's
Yeah,
a few scenes in there that are just missing. I think the scene that we get with them on the swing looking out at the sun is a great sequence, a great scene. But there's to me it feels like everything happened so fast, and him going home is the catalyst for him for that big moment at the end. Not to get into spoilers, but for that monologue, that is very much like it was the most James Gunn monologue of all time. But I thought it was great.
Yeah,
But for me, it's like there was a slight disconnect in that, and I think a lot of that could have been solved with one or two more scenes with Ma and Pa Kent back in Kansas
100%.
before going back to Metropolis.
Yeah, and I think that's like a good statement for a lot of this. I think that there were several scenes seemingly missing that connected, like the connective tissue between several plot arcs and ideas.
Hmm.
It just kind of trusted this, like, yeah, time, it's happening, and then you go forward and on to it. I mean, obviously, the whole movie is trusting you to have a little bit of background knowledge on Superman, which, let's be clear, at this point, you should have some background knowledge on Superman. Um,
Correct.
but even like a bit deeper into the lore, I like Nicholas Holt as Lex. I think that's a great casting. Um, I mean, I like Jesse Eisenberg as well, but I think this is like a more traditional Lex.
Yeah.
And my gripe is that we don't really get any of why Lex hates Superman. Um, we just are kind of introduced to him hating, and there's no like real reasoning given. And I
Sure.
think to ascertain those reasons, you have to, apply the background from whatever Superman media you have consumed. And so I think it would have been nice to like flesh out Lex a bit more
Oh,
within this
100%.
film. But I know he's going to come out like there will be more Lex, but still,
Yeah, there needs to be more legs because
yeah,
and Nicholas Holt is just too good to just have in this one film.
yeah. I remember when he was Beast back in the day.
Yeah, he was a good beast too.
Now Kelsey Grammer's Beast again.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, I think that like that's my only major complaint with the film is just while it does like it just feels a little like they're doing slightly too much and ignoring some things that I think shouldn't have been ignored.
Yeah.
But
Um,
eh,
man, I would have liked more from Krypton, honestly.
I I feel like for me, I've been there, done that. Not that I don't want to see it again. I'm just like I do think I would have rolled my eyes if this film started on Krypton again.
I don't even mean starting on Krypton. I just meant like more Krypton plot arc.
I'm
So
not
something
convinced
I
we
thought
don't
was
get it.
interesting.
Like I'm not convinced moving forward we don't get more Krypton. But
Well, something that has me alarmed, and this is a minor spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, skip ahead or just leave. I don't care if you leave. The Jor-El does appear along with Laura,
yeah,
and it's a very brief cameo at the start of the film, and then it comes back and plays a little bit more. And it's already out on the internet, so it's Bradley Cooper that's playing Jor, and I think that's a really good casting, actually. Um, he's a great actor, and so then to have it be a bit part is kind of funny too because of how little it was. My issue with this is that Jor-El is just a recorded message
hmm,
because in every version we've ever had, even before they had this terminology, Jor-El is an artificial intelligence that's been sent with Clark or with Cal. And I think the fact that he doesn't have Jor to talk to or to like directly learn from is interesting to me, especially for the ramifications going forward of not having Jor's consciousness there. And secondly, this is another spoiler, so please leave if you haven't already. Um, Jor is not particularly portrayed as the good guy in this, which is a departure from classic iterations of the character as well. And I'm not bothered by that because I think that Clark misunderstanding Jor's message initially because he didn't hear the whole thing and being like, I'm here to do good. And then he's like, oh my God, I'm not. That's interesting. But it saddens me because if all we have of Jor is that message, we're not going to see him fleshed out. And so I'm
sure.
really hoping that he just hasn't found the Jor AI yet and they can like hash this out in the future.
Yeah, I don't know if that happens, but um, I don't. I don't necessarily need it if it doesn't happen. I think
Yeah.
I think that there's enough going on, and there's enough that's exciting about the future that if it's not there, I think I'll be okay.
Sure. Um, no, I think that that's entirely correct. I, for a book club I recently joined, started attending this a couple. I've only been to one session, but last month they read Superman for All Seasons, which is by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, and it is a very interesting book because it does have to do with Lex. It's one of the inspirations that Gunn had when writing this one, but in it, Clark never goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and when he does reference it, he's just in his apartment on the bed, like
Mm,
he's by himself in solitude. His Kryptonian heritage is not mentioned once, and there is nothing from Jor or Lara. It's like entirely Mon Pa Kent. And so that might just be the direction that Gunn is going based on that book alone. But and it didn't bother me in the book, but that's because Jor was never mentioned.
sure.
So I think the fact that Jor is briefly in this one, I was like, "Ugh!"
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think well, there's a lot of people that are just briefly in it. Like, we get to see Millie Alcock show up as Supergirl for the first time,
you get Maxwell
which is
Lord.
we get Maxwell Lord very briefly. Well, we get Rich Flag for quite a bit actually, but um, on and off. I think there's a few more people, um, but yeah, no, I'm excited for the future now. I think uh, that this was a really good setup for the future of the DC universe.
I agree. I think that like the fact that Supergirl is the next movie inherently means that Crypto is coming back next year.
That is
So mark
true.
your calendars. We're going to get more crypto. You can never have too much crypto, as we know.
No, yeah,
I think you and I are probably crypto bros at this point.
yeah, no,
Okay,
not in that way. I
I
can't
tried
even
with that one.
I can't even attach myself to crypto in that way.
Wow.
So, but speaking of that, we have our own coin coming out now.
Yeah, it's called the Twimp coin.
The Wim coin. Buy the Wim coin. Nothing sketchy about it.
No. So just like previously, if you were to rate this one on a scale of 1 to 5, where do you think it would land?
I think I'm at a 4 out of 5.
Nice. I, as you may have guessed or seen on Letterboxd, I because I put it in earlier, I landed on a 5 with this one. I've been thinking about it, and it does have its flaws, but I think that it's as perfect of a Superman experience as I didn't think we were going to get. That
Hmm.
doesn't make any sense. I didn't think we were going to have a perfect movie come out of it, and we did. And I am hopeful for the future. Okay, that's something else. I didn't even get to this. I like that in this iteration, the S actually doesn't really look like an S. It
Mm,
only mildly looks like an S, and so now it makes more
yeah,
sense.
there you go.
That's good. Anyway, so official podcast rating 4.5 out of 5. I highly recommend checking this out in the cinema. But if you have HBO
Yeah,
Max, you can wait. But why would you?
why would you?
Why would you,
Yeah.
dude? I'm so
All right.
excited for like the next movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, are you talking about Supergirl
Um,
or the next Superman movie?
Next DC movie. I don't care. I'm probably gonna watch Peacemaker now. Um,
Peacemaker's great. I really like Peacemaker.
that's where I've landed. Anyways, well, last year about this time we did our top 5 movies. This is back when we exclusively did top 5 lists. Our top 5 films of the year thus far. And so I thought it would be fun to visit that and say, hey, these are our top 5 movies. And I think both of us have kept a pretty good log on what we've watched.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've only watched like 17 movies this year,
Mm.
like new releases, because I've just been too busy. But I know you're probably in the 50s at this point.
No, I'm not that far ahead of you at this point. I think I'm at like I don't have them all on here, but the ones that are not on here are not that high. I would say I'm probably closer to 30. I'm a
Okay.
little bit behind this year, but I'm catching up slowly but surely.
Yeah. I've been reading so much that I just haven't caught up. And so a lot of what I've seen are things that my girlfriend wanted to go watch, and they did not make it very high on my
Hmm.
list. Um, but I have a few things that will be a surprise or no surprise, depending on who you talk to.
Fair.
All right, so would you like to begin, or shall I?
Are we doing honorable mentions before? Because I do have one or two of those.
Yes, I have two of those.
I put Thunderbolts as an honorable mention. Um, Going into the year, if you would have told me that I had two superhero films that'd be this high at this half of the year, I'd be very shocked. But Thunderbolts and Superman are, right outside the top five. Not that I think it's been that great of a year so far. I've been mostly lukewarm on most things.
It's been an
Um,
ambivalent year.
yeah, considering F1 is in my top 10 still, is concerning. Um, but again, that's probably just the fact that I haven't watched as much this year as I normally do. But we will see by the end of the year. We'll see where everything shakes out. But Thunderbolts is an honorable mention. Uh, at some point in time, that podcast episode will come out, and our full thoughts will be there. So,
So my honorable mentions are 2023 and 2024 films that we just happened to watch in 2025. They're in my ranking, but I'm altering the deal where I don't alter it any further. And those would be Nickel Boys and Sing
mm,
Sing, both
oh
of which are I have ranked as 2025, but they're you know not from this year. So both of those were really fantastic. I think particularly I liked Nickel Boys uh, more out of the two, but it's so arbitrary to be like this one's better.
yeah,
So
especially those specifically. They're both so
yeah,
good.
they're just fantastic.
Go check out the podcast episodes on those because we did one for each of those.
Yes, the podcast. I think we covered Paddington and Nickel Boys in the same breath, which is a really weird double feature. Um,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
All right. Well,
So
my number five um, is one of two films of Steven Soderbergh's that's been released this year. Um, I've yet to see Black Bag, which, from what I hear,
I
is
want to see Black Bag. Yeah.
is fantastic. Um, but the other film that he released was called Presence, and it was a horror film set from I say a horror film set from the POV of a ghost. Um, and I think that it's done better in other places. Don't get me wrong, um, but I was intrigued the entire time. The mystery kept me on my toes, um, and the characters were compelling to say the least. Not necessarily good characters, just more like I'm interested to see what happens with them next. Uh, so that's number five, and I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. Um, which again should let you know a little bit about the year so far. It feels like, uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Um,
maybe in past years I've had some more 4.5s than I had this year, but I guess it is what it is.
it is, and like I was saying, I've had a very lukewarm year. Because my number five is Mickey 17, which we reviewed on the show. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It is a good time. It's just surprising to me that it's this high, but it's because I haven't seen anything that really dethroned it yet. And I won't go into it because you can go look up the episode.
Yeah, I totally did not have it on my list, but that is definitely going to be in here at some point now that you've said that because I totally forgot. Um, but my next one, let's see, what did I have next? Oh gosh, is Life of Chuck.
Okay.
Mike Flanagan's new film, which again, anybody who knows me, I've talked a lot about how much I do love Mike Flanagan. I think that he is putting out some of the best horror content on TV, and he's put out some really good horror films that I think haven't gotten enough love. Um, One of them was a WWE film called Oculus that I think is slept on. I think it's very good. Nobody seems to talk about it. But his new film, Life of Chuck, is a step away from horror. There are some horror elements. It is based on a Stephen King novel, but not in the same way that a lot of his other stuff is. It's much more. The best way to describe, I think I described it to somebody is like, Life of Chuck to me felt like what I think Robert Zemeckis tries to do with his films. Like it captures life in a way that that feels like it's something that Zemeckis would miserably fail at making this film. Um, and I wrote in my letterbox review that like I think that the best art is art that makes you want to create yourself, and I think Life of Chuck does that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that this is one of the best movies of the year so far. So that's my number four. Gave it 4.5 stars.
Cool. My number four is Thunderbolts. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the film. Um, I think it also goes back to say either how little I've seen or how uh, this year's been kind of destitute with like stuff. It's one or the other, but uh, yeah, episode will be out eventually. Yeah, what's your number three?
My number three is Mickey 17. Um, Again, that's one we talked about on the podcast, but Bong Joon Ho coming back to make another film, specifically a sci-fi film. While it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, I'm not convinced he could make a bad movie if he tried. Um, so yeah, again, there's a full episode with all of my full thoughts on that, but that's the quick, brief version of it. So that's my number three.
My number three is The Phoenician Scheme by Wes Anderson. I know I enjoyed this one a lot more than you did. I gave it
Yeah,
4 out of 5 stars. Would you like a hand grenade? I don't normally enjoy Wes Anderson's style, but this particular film just worked for me. Maybe it's my love of Michael Cera. I really can't say, but I
I
quite
think
liked
he
it.
was great, but to me, I think the last couple of Wes Anderson films have really just they've irked me in a weird way. Um, I'm not I don't get excited by going to his films anymore. Not that I was ever a massive fan of his, but at least when I went, I was like, okay, we're going to see something different. It's going to be exciting. But now I'm starting to just I'm not bought into the style anymore. It's wearing on me. I'm uninterested by it anymore. I think because to me it's like it just feels like a reskin of what he just did, just with a different plot, and that to me is frustrating. Like, I'd like to see a little bit of like stylistic differences between things, and not so
Yeah,
rigid in what he's doing. Like, you can write down exactly what he's going to do shot wise in the film. There's no surprise in it anymore for me, which is unfortunate.
yeah, but there were hand grenades in it for you.
Oh God, yeah. Anyway,
What was your number two?
my number two was a shock because I was not expecting much. I was expecting to enjoy the film, to say the least, which was 28 years later.
Ooh, I still need to
Um,
see that.
I am a fan of 28 Days Later. I think I'm a much bigger fan of it than you were. Um, and I think the fact that they shot on an iPhone was originally it was an interesting idea. I was like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. It actually felt right.
Hmm.
When you see the film, to me, it will all make sense because I think that if they could have shot the first one on an iPhone, I think you might have enjoyed it more, to be honest. Because
My
I
issue
think,
with it was largely the camera was it was like a consumer camera they shot the first one on, and you
yeah,
can tell.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
I enjoy it, but that's like the dirty aesthetic of the first one is something that I really do enjoy. This is a more cleaned up aesthetic, but it's still capturing that like the chaotic energy of that first movie that I think is absolutely needed. But it also uh, the quiet moments in the film hit like a truck. Like I was not expecting to be as emotional about 28 years later as I was. Um, and again, I left the theater going, "Wow," uh, and I'm uber excited for whatever they do next. So that is my number two of the year.
My number two, you're probably going to get angry at me for mentioning. I'm not going to go into it, but I have to say, out of everything I watched this year, I feel this way about the filmmaker's previous work when I'm talking about something that's quotable, memeable, that sort of thing. And in my opinion, Lava Chicken and Chicken Jockey are quotes that I've said in real life, surprisingly. Um, so, Minecraft is my number two. I'm not going to say anything else about it.
I'm quitting the podcast. I can't. I can't. This is madness. I you know what? I'm not gonna say it. I don't have anything nice to say, so I'm gonna say nothing at all. I'm just gonna
All
move
right, what's your
forward.
number one?
I think it's obvious to anybody who's watched anything this year. It's Sinners. Uh,
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, and I think that it would probably bump what is currently my number one.
it's on Max. You got no excuse anymore.
I've been busy.
Oh my god,
Do you know how many books I've read this month?
that doesn't matter. You got to make
It
time.
does.
It takes this movie's like 2.5 hours. Just set aside 2.5 hours, and you'll thank me for it. But no,
I will.
going into the year, this was one of the films that I talked about as being one of my most anticipated films of the year, and it did not disappoint. I thought I knew what I was getting into, but by the end, I had no clue. Um, Ryan Coogler somehow stepped up his game even further, which is shocking because I think he's one of the most talented filmmakers working in blockbusters. Um, and there is a sequence in the middle of the film that everybody has talked about at this point that
I've actually
uh,
stayed away from it. I don't know what it is.
I won't tell you anything about it. But what I will say is like uh, it's I would be shocked if anything touches that for the rest of the year as far as best movie sequences. Um, and when you watch the film, you'll know exactly what it is. The moment that it starts, you'll go, "Oh," because it's undeniable, like just how like powerful filmmaking it is. It is a perfect sequence, and the film itself is just great. I so yeah, you need to see it.
Yeah, my I'll get to that at some point. But my number one, there you go.
Yeah,
It's just Superman. I
boring.
can't for our non watching people. It's Superman. I also had a boring answer
I'm bored.
compared to everything
Nah,
else on my list. I have to say it's one of the better films. Like I could have put Lilo and Stitch or Love Hurts up here, but I said no. So
you've watched
keep that
17
in
films
mind.
this year. I'm convinced they might have been the 17 worst films of the year.
I
Oh my
watched Love
god.
Hurts. I watched How to Train Your Dragon, Jurassic. Actually, 17 is not true because I have a few other things on here, like the Doctor Who episodes. So Jurassic World, Captain America, Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible, Warfare, Paddington, Mickey 17, Thunderbolts, and then the ones you just heard. That's it. I've like barely been to the cinema.
Mm.
Um, but I did read Killers of the Flower Moon.
No, nice. How was that?
Yeah, the book is extremely different. It's about the FBI investigation, and like the part that's in the film is like a small section of the book,
Yeah,
but the book is about the it's like actually much more interesting. So anyway,
interesting. Yeah.
um, well, I don't really have anything else to talk about. As always, you can follow us at TIWWWM Pod. I am going to start updating those more frequently now so that you can see clips from us and remember that the show is coming out. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
All right. Bye.